You guys remember the Volkswagen Corrado? This one's a VR6. It's a 93 and it is so cool. Let's take a look at it. Let's get started. Like I mentioned, it's a 1993 Volkswagen Corrado. Here in New Mexico, when we have double R's, we roll them, Corrado. I don't know if that's correct or not. You guys can let me know in the comments. This one has the VR6 engine though. It's really sweet. We'll talk about that here in a minute, but this one came in with AC not working. The rear brakes aren't even doing anything. And it has a few other electrical issues the customer wanted sorted out, and it's looking pretty grim. We're going to show you what we found. Let's go ahead and take a look around this Corrado. These things are awesome, guys. I remember these when they came out, and I've always wanted one. So we do actually have the grill that goes here. It's currently not being held in very well, so I'll set that inside the car here in a minute. But here's the front of this Corrado. It is red. All the lenses are intact. Some of them are cracked a little bit. It does have some really sweet wheels on it, some 5 spokes. It looks like it says Speedline wheels on it. When you come down this side, it's a little bit worse for the wear on some of the paint where it's fading through. You can see we have the rear wheels off, and there it says Corrado on the license plate. But overall, this is really in pretty decent shape. A lot of these are destroyed by now. Let's go ahead and hop under the hood. I'll get this hood opened up and put our prop in place. Look at that, guys. This is so cool. All the way back in 1993, a VR6 double overhead cam. These have about 190 horsepower and about the same amount of torque. They're not a tire burner, but they are exceptionally cool. They had 0 to 60 time in the 6-second range, which is really good in the early 90s. And as you can see, some things can be kind of tough to work on. So this isn't actually the valve cover. This is the intake. It goes over the top of the valve cover. This is just a plastic cover. There's our throttle body in the back going around to our air cleaner, you can see. So if you had to do a valve cover gasket, you have to take off this intake to get to it. So what is a VR6? It's a 15-degree V6, but they're so close together, like in this picture here. They're basically an inline 6, but it's staggered. And this is the same kind of a design you see on this picture on our Volkswagen or our Bentley W12. They have the staggered cylinders, basically the same technology here. They could fit 6 cylinders in about the same space as a 4-cylinder. Really cool design. This one's old enough that it still has a distributor. So we don't have any kind of ignition coils on plug type things. We still have a distributor. But as you look around, you can see there's lots of wires and things that are kind of in sad shape. But before we dive into that, let's let Mrs. Wizard show you guys a really cool Corrado interior.
214,000 miles, 403 miles. Wow, this thing has been around the block a few times. Love the gauge cluster, very simple, easy to read. Like, got a few little analog things, got a few digital things, but okay, dash, let's move up. A little bit of a little tear there, but hey, this thing is doing great. Being in the sun in New Mexico, that is a pristine dash for this old of a car. As we move down, you will see we have our glove box. Take a peek. And oh, wow, they still have the owner's manual in there. Oh, wow, that is so awesome. I'm going to leave it in there because that's where they have it. As you move over, you'll see that they do have an interesting little missing spot here. You guys can let us know in the comments what probably went there. They have upgraded their stereo system to a JVC system, and they do have very simple round design dials for the HVAC system. As you move down, I like how they have put the oil pressure and the voltage down there, not in the way of seeing the gauge cluster up in front, but still important to know. This would make it fun to drive. Yes, we have a manual transmission here. Not sure how many gears it has, but well, it is manual and be fun to drive. It does have a Karman insignia below that and our e-brake there. Nothing else in that center console. That's all there is. There's no hidey spots or anything. The seats are leather and they do have a nice bolster on the side and are quite comfortable. This is the era of car where everything seems to be hugging you, and look at that door card, hugging you as well. Let's go to the back seat and it's going to hug you even more. Got a nice armrest there in the center. That definitely wraps around. Yes, everything is just keeping you nice and tight in here. I guess it maybe helps if you're drifting around corners. Headliner in really pretty good shape for being this old. Back at our steering wheel, it is not the original steering wheel. No, they have upgraded to a Momo steering wheel, and that may have been more for just, the style of it, maybe for the appearance, or maybe because the old one may have had a little bit of too much sun blistering going on. This one does not. I'm liking the red. Definitely matches that exterior color. So enough of this interior talk. Let's get this up in the air and see what it looks like on the underneath with 214,000 miles.
So here we are underneath this Corrado, and with 214,000 miles, I expect to see tons of leaks, but amazingly, there really isn't any. Here's our radiator area, core support, and I don't see anything leaking there. There's a little power steering pump. Here's our engine, oil pan, nothing pouring out of that. Here's our transaxle or transmission. And check out these brakes over here. They are working, and they have about 30% remaining. Struts are not blown, some good Bilsteins. Nothing loose there. Same thing on the brakes here. Struts are not blown. Sway bar links are good. On both sides, nothing loose there. But we are having an issue in the back with the brakes are just doing nothing in the back. So on our way back there, we'll take a look at the exhaust. Everything's intact. Our catalytic converter is in place. The floorboards are not rusted out like they would be in Kansas, but they aren't down here because we're in the lovely Southwest. We can see it's had a new fuel filter installed, and we can see our beam axle in the back with our sway bars, which are intact. And we have a Borla muffler. So the things they have added make it nice. The Bilsteins, the Borla, everything on there is looking really good. New fuel filter. But when it came in, I knew right away, like the customer stated, they feel like the back brakes aren't working. Let's take a look at the front, and then I'll show you a telltale sign in the back. You can see the rotor is shiny. It looks like shiny, clean metal. It's been used. The brake pads are doing their job. Now let's head back to the rear wheels.
Wow, is it the rotors are the same color as your beard?
They kind of are. It looks like a car that's been sitting for years, doesn't it, guys? But it hasn't been. It runs and drives. But the back brakes are literally doing nothing. So we got in, had Ronnie Tron's been checking this out, and he really mashed on the brakes. I can just sit here and spin the rear wheels by hand. The fronts will lock up. So we started in the back to work our way forward. Is fluid even getting to them? Because it could be locked up calipers or something mechanically bound back here, but there's no fluid. So we started right here. We broke loose this bleeder screw and had this into a little cup. And as hard as you can mash the brakes, nothing comes out. So we move here to the branch where the rear splits into two, and you can see there's a little fluid there. If we pop that loose, a few drops will come out. There is fluid there, but it's not doing anything. You can put your whole weight on the brakes, nothing will come out. It's as if you didn't even push the brakes. So let's get this thing on the ground and talk about why. So unfortunate for this customer, like most cars have vacuum brakes, and they have a vacuum disc or a vacuum servo and a master cylinder, just like this picture here. However, that is not what this car has. It has a very expensive, very rare, unobtainium electronic brake system. Let me show you what it looks like. So I've got my hand on it here. This entire system is the brake master cylinder, the analog brakes, a computer module, everything all in one there. And you can see right here, we broke the line loose. I'm jiggling it. There's fluid there. But we mash on the brakes, we turn on the key, we do everything we can. Nothing comes out of there. So this is the idea. It could be airlocked or have air in the system. But as we were doing different things, I noticed something. I know this just like a Prius or modern Toyota that has kind of a Tevis style system. This is called Tevis brakes. When you turn on the key, especially if you use the brakes a bunch of times, the pump should run and pump pressure back up. Let me show you this little accumulator. It's a sphere or kind of a ball that actually accumulates the pressure for your power brakes. Buried underneath this coolant reservoir, there's a black sphere-shaped ball. That is the accumulator. That accumulator, the pressure within it, that's your power brakes. Not the vacuum reservoir, not the vacuum diaphragm. It doesn't even have any of that. It has a little motor that pumps up the accumulator with pressure, and it holds that pressure. So even if your engine were to die, you still have a few more power brake applications and can get safely to the side of the road. I never can get that thing to power up and turn on. After doing some more checking, it's my belief that the entire system has failed. The front brakes are still working, but when you do drive it, the brakes are so hard. I mean, it's like pushing on a piece of wood. And the fronts will stop you. There is some brake pressure there, but there's no power brake pressure. Something's really wrong with that unit. And this is where I'm going to come out to you guys, because I searched eBay, LKQ. I looked at a lot of different places. I even called a couple people that are in the know in these older Volkswagens, and they were like, one guy knew a guy that rebuilt those. He has retired. I don't even think he's alive anymore. There are no used ones on eBay. I can't find them anywhere. I can't find a rebuild service. I can't find anything on it. So maybe you guys know it. Let a link in the description of where I can acquire one. And I already know, even if you guys know of one, it ain't going to be 20 bucks. I already know that's probably going to be $1 or $2 or $3 grand. Who knows how expensive that's going to be. So that's where we're at with the brakes. And we were diving into the air conditioning. And this is some of the things I want to go over with you guys. On these older cars, you can be the coolest owner in the world with the coolest car, but how many hands have been in the cookie jar, as I say it? I've worked on this even before this guy owned this car. There's been people working on this car. And I've been seeing a lot of things that I don't really like to see. But let me show you what we found with the AC system. So you can see my light shining on that disc. That is the clutch disc for the AC compressor. So it's buried way down in the engine. You can actually get to it easier from underneath. But we found when we connected the AC machine to this vehicle, it was very low on refrigerant. We did found that the service port valves were kind of corroded. We replaced those, recharged the system to full capacity, which is 1,000 grams. According to this sticker, in case you want to argue about specs, it's right there on the hood. And nothing happened. We use our handy dandy power probe, and right at the compressor, if I give it power, it'll engage. It works. It's like, okay, so we're turning on the AC. Why isn't it turning on? So I started tracking some wiring down, and I got really sad. Let's take a look. So Ronnie Tron was looking around at the wiring, and he's seeing a lot of wires that are not in the diagram, and some of them have been cut. And take a look here. So running off of this fuse, this is a strip fuse right here. They've got some wire going to I don't know what. We've got some speaker looking system wires going to that with a bunch of crimps. And we temporarily have this taped up because this wire was severed completely in half and smashed underneath the battery. And then I found the condenser to the AC system goes right along here, and you can see the pressure switch, or the lack thereof. It's broken in half. And I dug a little deeper, and I found it. So that's broken, but replacing it won't fix anything. The reason why is because I used that same power probe at those wire connections. There's no power there. One of the grounds isn't doing anything. So we started to look for the relays. Maybe there's a bad relay, something like that. And someone has taken and taped them all together and just kind of threw them in the corner. Let me show you that. You can see my light is shining on it right there. Which relay goes where? And there's a lot of cut wires. You can see a lot of butt connectors right here. We're finding that all over the place.
Well, at least they're not using Romex house wiring.
That's true. I've seen many cars with 14.3 Romex used for neutral safety switches or crazy things like that. It's crazy, guys. Another thing I know, I pay attention to things, and I know there's been a lot of hands in the cookie jar because this AC pipe right here, which should be bolted in, isn't connected. There's a little nut that should be bolted down. You start to put all these things together and you can see right away, we've got our 1 or 2 hours invested. This is where we stop and we call the customer. Do they want to dive in and spend the money? I don't want to pay my mechanic the money to do his job if you don't even want to pay for it. It's kind of not fair. So the thing that we do here, We're going to tell this customer we could spend hours diving for wires. They've been cut, they're missing, some things are not even connected in the right place. What did the last guy do? Do you know? I don't know. Maybe you can let me know in the comments what the last guy did. I sure don't know. We don't know what we're up against here. So we're going to call the customer with the brake situation and with the AC situation. We could be in this tons of money. And maybe the customer is not interested in spending that kind of money. And if the person's not interested, then neither are we. That's kind of a fair trade-off. So that's kind of where we're at on this VR6. I wish that we could dive in and fix this really quick. I was really excited when this car came in. I was like, man, this is going to be cool. We can get his AC going and fix his rear brakes. I really want to test drive this car because I remember these things. These are awesome. Unfortunately, it made me kind of sad. So we're kind of at a quandary here. Really want to fix this for this customer. And I could fix it. But maybe the customer wouldn't like the $2, $3, $4, I don't know how many $1,000 bill trying to get this fixed. And they show up and say, oh my God, I wish you would have called me first because I would have said, hell no. So that's why we call first and find out what the customer would like to do. I actually talked to Crazy D a while back when we were still running our Kansas shop, and he said, Car Wizard, I want to tell you something. He said, people want to get these older cars, classic cars, which this today now is classic cars, not a 1966 Malibu. That's an antique. Those are no longer classic cars. Those are antiques. And even I have a struggle kind of coming to grips with that because to me, a 66 Malibu is a classic car. But now it's basically a Model T. This is a classic car now. And when you want to have these old classic cars, you almost really need to fix your own cars. Unless you have tons of money that you want to throw at the problem. If you don't have the money, you're going to have the will or the way to fix it yourself. We're going to give the customer the sad news, and at least they'll know what they're up against, where they need to go with this car. Maybe they keep it, maybe they sell it. I don't know what they're going to do with the car, but with the brake situation, if the customer says, I at least need to have my brakes, I want you guys to come forth in the comments and let me know, where in the heck do I find that module, or where can I send it off to be rebuilt? We did put power to it, nothing happened. I think the motor's locked up. It may have been sitting for a long, long time, and it just doesn't even work anymore. The solenoids or valves in there could be corroded shut. It could be a major, major overhaul just to get that thing working again. And maybe you guys can let me know, maybe it's not even a possibility on this car anymore. We are running up against that in the 80s and 90s cars, which again, 1990 is our cutoff. We no longer work on anything older than 1990. It's getting into be antiques, and we don't do antiques. So in this customer schedule, like I mentioned, I was really excited. I said, oh, right, a Corrado. I haven't seen one of those in so long. It's just brakes and AC. It's an old car. That should be a no-brainer, right? Easy. But when it showed up, we found out really quick. That's not the case. It's not a no-brainer. It's definitely going to take a brainer, a huge brainer. And we're just going to have to call the customer, see what they would like to do. But I definitely wanted to get a video out to you guys to show you this really sweet VR6 Corrado. And I know some of the newer ones on Bring a Trailer are bringing really hefty sums. They're worth a lot of money. I think the value is going to go up. It'll really be up to the customer how far they want to take this thing. So there we are. That's why the AC isn't working, because there's just a menagerie of a whole bunch of cut wires and things are missing. Sensors are broken. Relays are not where they're supposed to be. They're just kind of taped up and thrown aside. I wish we could dial it in real fast, but it's not going to be fast. This is not going to be a fast fix. The brakes, with that computerized gizmo on there as the master cylinder, it's not going to be a quick fix either. So if you're curious what kind of tools we're using to work on all these cars in the shop, check our Amazon affiliates link in the description below. A lot of the tools we use every day, tried and true, are listed for sale there. And if you purchase any of them, we get a small cut, and we really appreciate it. And we are hitting the ground running here in Las Cruces, New Mexico. We are booked clear into September. We have so many more videos to come for you guys. So make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Thanks for watching.